Hello, everyone. How are you? And welcome to Jamie and myself, Jill Harvey-Bush, having a good old chinwag again today for half an hour. Well, first of all, of course, being British, we always start talking about the weather. Jamie, have you survived the heat? Although you're in Worcester, I'm in, the southwest. So how have you done this week?
Um, this week it's not been bad this week. It was last week was the killer, wasn't it? Last week for us was the killer. It was just that 33 degrees on the Saturday we had here.
27 here and a bit
Did
of a
you?
breeze and a little bit of rain to
Wow.
start. Oh, I've been sat watching the rest of the country. Both my sisters are in the southeast, and obviously, having lived in the southeast, lots of my friends live there, and they have all been melting around the Heathrow area, which has been the record of kind of
Yeah,
34, 35.
yeah.
One of my sisters lives in a first floor flat and it faces the sun. We always said to her, try not to get a flat that's just got all the windows on one side. Try to get work. Well, she didn't, of course. Being big sister, she knows best. And of
They
course,
do
she's
know
been
best though, don't they? The older ones.
absolutely, absolutely.
Don't tell
And
anyone. Don't. We won't, obviously, won't tell her that. We won't tell anybody that.
and
But yes.
everybody's been melting, and particularly friends with small children who've got 4-year-olds and 1-year-olds, and just not knowing what to do with them, and having kids having to go to school or nursery. And I just think, oh God bless. One of the reasons, actually, Jamie, we left the southeast because it was, well, it must have been about 2017, 2018. We had a really, really hot summer, and again, we were hitting 29 degrees at night. And I remember saying to Clive, this is crazy. The lowest we're going to get tonight is 27. We both went downstairs because upstairs was, and we opened the attic up so to let the air go on up through. And we were saying then, before we know it, it's going to be 30 degrees on a regular basis here in
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
southeast. So that
Yeah.
was, but we thought probably 10 years before it would be hitting that on a regular basis. So we luckily, left in 2021. Yay. I mean, we had a nice COVID summer. It was hot that year, admittedly.
Yeah.
And we've just watched those temperatures climb. And we've been
I know.
sitting down here. I've still been sleeping with a quilt on.
Yeah.
So, admittedly, we're in a bungalow, so we're not on a first floor. So we're going plus for that, plus for the fact we've got breezes. We're not too far. We're not on the coast, but we're not too far from the coast. So we've been
Mm.
lovely,
Mhm.
27, 28. We've been down at 24, where everybody else has been up at 30, 31.
Yeah, it's been hot. It's been hot. Actually, I was just thinking because of what you've just said. There's some houses round the corner from us on a very steep hill, and because they're on a very steep hill, you could almost say that the bottom, say we're looking at them, the bottom right-hand corner as you look at the front of the house would almost be in the ground. And these are
Right,
upside down houses. These
right,
are with balconies upstairs, out the front and out the back, living room,
right.
bedroom, living room, bathroom, kitchen,
Yeah,
whatever upstairs, bedrooms downstairs. And I was thinking, I just thought, I bet it's not bad there, where
yeah.
you've got where you've low down, because lower down. Problem is, we've got this heat in the house, hot air rises, and bedrooms are usually scorching, aren't they? We've
And
managed
people
all right.
people
We've
do the
managed.
wrong thing. They do what's counterintuitive, really, is that they open all the windows during the
Yeah,
day. And
yeah,
actually, no, open
no,
all your windows at night and keep your curtain,
yeah,
I keep your curtains closed, obviously, but first thing in the morning, open up all your curtains, get all the cool air in. And as
yeah,
soon as it starts to heat up, so sort of around now, even earlier, 9 o'clock, something like that, then close all the curtains and close all your windows.
yeah.
Because what it
Shut it
does
all
is,
down.
yes. So it
Yeah.
keeps the cool air in because double glazing will keep the cool in and the heat as much out as the reverse in the summer. But of course, people's kind of reactions are open up all the windows. And of course, all you're doing is letting all that heat in.
I've done incredibly well at the workshop actually, because I think I've said it before. When I first moved into my workshop, I got rid of a whole roll of insulation, a big roll. It was like 1.2 meters tall, and it was about 6 or 7 meters long, 8 meters long, and I used the whole roll in the gaps. I mean, this is a building.
Yeah.
This is a recently refurbished building, and to be honest, it was disgusting the state that the building was in, really, after the builders had done their work. I'd got, when it was -2 outside, I'd got a draft coming through the side of the windows where there's some old brickwork and they put a bit of timber over it. There was a gap there. I put my thermometer thing there, -9,
Oh,
because the wind
wow.
chill of
Coming
blowing
through.
round. This was in the winter, obviously. Um, in the summer, this has been great because I've gone to my workshop. The sun doesn't come round to the windows until 3 or 4 on a summer's afternoon. So that's great because I'm on the wrong side. The
Yeah.
building's facing the wrong way, really, as far as attracting the sun. Um, and I've had my windows closed for pretty much the last, in fact, it's only been the last 2 nights that I've opened the window and it's been cooler,
Yeah.
letting
Cool
the
air
air
coming
come
in.
in.
Yeah.
So, but the workshop's been really quite cold, quite
But
nice.
it's all those tips, isn't it? I mean, I know when we were in Weybridge, what we would do, obviously, because the houses are insulated, and it was friends who said, no, open up your attics. You know, we're lucky we had one that you push and it just drops down. We had two actually, two, don't know why we had two attics, but the shape of the house, we had two hatches. So at night we used to drop the hatches down, which of course then continues the hot air to go up into the
Yeah,
roof and out that way.
yeah,
So yeah, that was one of the tips that we used to use. And the other, which I gave my sister, is put your feet in cold water. So if you've got some
yeah.
ice, put some ice in in a bowl and whatever with some water. Put your feet in, and that has a another effect. Um,
And and
yeah.
wrists
Yes.
and wrists. So what?
Yes.
So one of my things over the last 2 or 3 weeks has been um, washing up more because we haven't got a dishwasher.
Right.
Fangled gadgets, don't need them. Cost money to run. Blech. They go wrong. Whatever. Wash up in a bowl. Get your hands wet, which is good for the arthritis and whatever. No, I used to have arthritis. There you go. Which is
Yeah.
good for things like that to keep that at bay. But when you're drying your hands, dry your hands, leave your wrists wet, and then the cool air, you dry off slower, but you
Yeah.
feel cooler. It's great.
Well, that's why when you come out of the sea or whatever, you suddenly feel cold, or you get out of a nice warm shower because it's the
Yeah,
evaporation, isn't it?
yeah.
So the water evaporates off your body, which means it's taking the heat to do that. So it's pretty
It
obvious,
is.
really, that
It
that's
is.
that's what's happening. Or the other tip is put a couple of flannels into a freezer. And then
Okay.
you can bring the flannels out, put those on your neck, they're nice and cold, and then you can alternate. So when one gets a bit warm again, you can switch. I mean, you can put them in a plastic bag.
I've not got
Um,
that warm. I've not got that. I think women must just be generally a few temperatures degrees higher
try
than men.
being about 7, 8, 9 months pregnant in that sort of heat.
Chloe, my daughter
Wow,
Chloe.
not at all
I know.
nice.
Bless her.
Absolutely sweating buckets. Or, of course, women of a certain age, on top of their
Oh,
hot
don't.
flushes,
Oh, don't.
they're getting the heat as well. So,
Oh,
yes,
yes, their own
well,
heat
that's
source.
funny that you say women should be sound as if they're slightly warmer, because actually in the winter, women will say they're colder than men because we tend to layer up and want the heating on sooner, and we're
Maybe
just
men just don't.
different.
Maybe men just don't say so much about the temperature and worry too much about it.
Oh, that's a contentious issue, Jamie.
Maybe men are just a little bit more chilled. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm
Chilled,
sorry.
literally.
Oh, flipping heck! How did I do that? It's like we've written this down.
Very,
Um,
very clever,
Not
Jamie.
scripted at all.
No, not at all. But yeah, it is. It's surviving. And it is when you're older. My sister is, older, can't really move very well.
Yeah.
And just the heat, she was, completely suffocating.
Yes,
And again, I remember seeing a program, which is always a tip about buying a flat. And it was a young girl who bought a beautiful flat in Manchester on the eighth floor. And this isn't this year, this was a couple of summers ago. And she said, my flat is unbearable. It's got all the glass and a patio door.
I
And she
was.
said,
Yeah,
I'm having to sleep in the hall, which has no windows or anything, because that seems to be the coolest place.
yeah.
And then people are wanting to open their front doors to get air. But she said on the eighth floor, and you don't know who's wandering by. She said, I get no air at all, no breeze, nothing
Yes.
at that height, when there is no breeze. And she said it's just unbearable,
I have
completely
seen something.
unbearable.
I have seen something on an architect's. uh, page about saying all those people who wanted to open their houses up at the back or the front and have full height glazing and whatever.
Mm,
I hope you're happy in your house now. I hope this is
yeah,
really what you wanted. And there's this picture of this one woman, and she's put in cardboard with bubble wrap, you know, the tinfoil bubble wrap
yeah.
panels over the glass to try and reflect some of the heat out and cover the glass because, I mean, yeah,
Well, you've got to get either, when you see places like that, and you said people say, well, they've got them in hot countries, but they've all got this thing called air conditioning.
or tiles, tiled floors everywhere, cold tiled
Yes,
floors,
yes,
not
exactly.
insulated, so that then you're grounding and you're walking on a cold floor,
Yeah.
which helps keep you cooler. So you put up with it. Your body's
Well, that's funny. We had a friend staying this week, and he's from Australia, lives in Brisbane, and he was saying, of course, he's British, but has been living out there 40 years or whatever. And he said the interesting thing is, of course, our houses are built for cool because of it being so hot all the time. But in the winter, we're really, really cold because we don't have the sort of central heating setups that you
yeah,
guys have. We have the cold floors because of the summer. We don't, the walls and everything is done for a hot summer. So he said we're the reverse, and in the winter we're absolutely freezing. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it is as much as people say, whether you're into climate change or whatever, you can't deny it's getting hotter. And maybe, we're starting to see when we're looking at properties that a lot of houses now have got air conditioning. I know my clients, slightly wealthy clients, have got air conditioning in their lounge and in the bedrooms and an air conditioning unit sitting outside. And of course, like us, if you've got solar panels, it's not costing anything to run. Like when you were talking about the dishwasher, you
Yeah.
sound like Clive, you said years ago, we don't need one, it's blah, 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 blah. And as soon as we moved into a house that had one fitted, so we ended up having one. Now he won't do without the dishwasher. It's his job. He
Oh,
loves the dishwasher.
he'd
Um,
manage.
and he loves it. We don't put it on every day though, Jamie.
No,
To be fair, there's only two of us.
yeah,
So we'll load it, we swill it off, don't get me wrong, load it, and then it goes on sort of every other day, like this morning after breakfast, dishwasher goes on and beautiful sunshine. So it's actually not costing us anything with the solar panels. So
that's good.
which I was
That's
really
good.
pleased because we've had lots of sunshine, is actually we've been in credit. The company have been paying us more than my bill
Oh,
has been
nice.
each month. So you kind of go, okay, there's my little direct debit. They go out, but actually more has come in. I think
That's
we're
good.
paying on utilities about £8 a month, but we paid £8 last month and £12 came in. And so I was like, yes,
That's good. That's good.
solar
Good.
panels.
Return
It's
return on your investment. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really worthwhile as far as we're concerned. So there we go. We've done the heat. We'll all be complaining. It'll be freezing cold
Too
next week.
cold next month.
But I mean, there is one thing that's quite interesting about this as well, is quite a few friends who've got businesses, and we're actually suffering it at the moment with our property, is of course it gets too hot and things like the outside, when we were having the outside done, he couldn't do it in the heat because the concrete was going off too fast.
Oh,
So, really
yeah,
difficult when you're mixing and
yeah,
laying flagstones
yeah,
and the concrete was just in the heat. He couldn't on his own work fast enough to
yeah.
do it. But the other side of that, no, I'm not having a go. Well, maybe I am having a little rant on behalf of some friends. When you own a business and you have a policy in place that says to people, if you need a day off, if it's just one day, I think theirs is, you've got to give us at least 2 weeks' notice. They run a cafe. If you want a week off, then we need at least a month or 2 months' notice so we can book it in and plan. And what have they found as soon as the heat started? Amazing how many of their staff said they wanted a day off. Young, dare I say, younger staff. They said, no, this is the policy. So guess what happened the next day? They rang in sick. But the annoying thing is that they then are posting having a lovely time on the beach on social media. And they're not, there's quite a few
You,
that have said, oh, sorry, we're waiting tree surgeons. We've booked some tree surgeons. They were meant to be here 2 weeks ago. Really sorry, I've got a real problem with staff. Everybody seems to be going off sick. Then we're waiting for the garden room to come down, and you want to go, oh, I'm really sorry. It was going to be last week in June, then first week in July, then second week, and then I've just heard, sorry, we can't come to the 21st now because the company that makes the stuff, they've had lots of people go off sick, and we've had people go off sick. And you just think, is there some sort of epidemic going on that I don't know about?
Yeah.
You know,
We were going to talk. We were going to talk about more
but
or
anyway,
less, but I think we.
yes,
But hang on, I think there is something here because in the same, continuing what you're saying, I've seen a clip by a financial consultant who is questioning the VAT rate, which I think is 90,000 now, saying, and it's a very good clip actually. It says, "Look, if I'm a gas fitter, whatever, I do gas
yeah,
boilers and whatever, central heating boilers. If I go over 90,000, I've then got to pass on a 20%, the 20% VAT onto my customers. But if I stick at £89,000, I don't have to. So this guy next, or the guy next door, he said, sticks to 89,000. He doesn't have to add VAT on. But if it's 90,000, or you go
you mean
90,000
he
above,
earns 90,000,
yes, his earnings
right?
will be
So
90,000.
gross, or
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, it will be gross.
yeah,
Yes. So if you go over the 90,000 and then you have to pay VAT, so you charge everybody VAT,
yes.
so you're putting everybody's bills up. It also means that, oh, what was it? Oh, I've forgotten it, Jill. But anyhow, basically saying what people do is they get somewhere near, and then it said evidence shows that people like plumbers and whatever trades, they will go on holidays in February, March,
Yeah.
because they've earned enough for the year. They don't need to earn any more. If they do some spending, it takes it out of their earnings, so it brings their earnings down as well, pay less tax. And there's that going on as well, where you almost put a limit on, and you don't go above it unless
So
you
then you
know.
don't have to pay you don't have to charge your customers VAT. Is that what
Yeah,
we're saying?
yeah,
Okay, but that's similar, Jamie, to wage increases. You know, when you get to the tax thresholds, because there would be
yes,
a time, and I know it was ridiculous, you know, a time when I was in corporate that my salary was going up, which would take me into the next tax threshold just,
yeah,
which actually meant I was then earning less than I was on the salary without the increase, if you see
yeah.
what I
Well,
mean.
we're earning less
Because I
per
mean,
hour.
yes,
Yes,
because I
yes,
was being taxed more because now I'd gone up into the next tax bracket, and you
yes.
just think, no, no, can I just stay here, please? I don't
I know,
want the,
I know.
keep me under that. And then you can give me a big hike, which then means it makes a difference. Otherwise,
It
it's,
doesn't make a difference. That's
you
why
know,
company cars became a bonus.
yeah.
Healthcare becomes a bonus.
Well,
All of those things help.
But then
They add to it.
companies'
Sorry.
cars then got into an awkward situation, which they were then looking at, actually, is it a tax benefit or do you just want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
use, and I actually then
yeah.
stopped having a company car because it wasn't a tax benefit for me. So I declined my company car and then used to just charge mileage.
So maybe some of your people are earning a bit too
Maybe.
much and taking a week off. I mean,
Who,
I'll be honest. I don't earn a lot. I really don't earn a lot of money, and I suppose we are coming on to the less is more. Here we go.
yes.
I don't earn a lot of money. I earn about a third of what I did when I was building boats. My income is about a third of it. Far happier. I'm basically just paying the bills. There's no extra. There's no really fluff on top. There's no holidays. There's no. I sit in my garden and look at my view and go, why would I want to go on holiday when I could be in a hotel or a B&B, Airbnb, or a campsite or something and have a worse view than out the back garden? So in
Yeah.
a way, that less is more thing is, I think it's the way forward, and I think the youngsters are going to get this. I think the youngsters are going to get it. I think there'll be a turning point. I think we're seeing 30 plus year olds still thinking that the house they buy is going to be brand new before they move in.
Mhm.
got to refit this,
Have
refit
got to have
looking on the
everything. Yeah.
mortgage, have a
New
car. We
furniture,
need
the
the
lot.
second car. Don't forget we've
Yeah.
got the holiday in 2 weeks' time, and all of this. I think they will come around eventually and just say, you know what, I'm earning, trying to earn so much more. It's flipping crippling me to do all of this. It's having to the detriment of the family and my love life with my wife or whatever. And I'm doing all this and I'm knackered, but I'm still, what am I chasing? Stuff.
Yeah.
It's mainly stuff, and you
Well,
can manage without
it's
most of the
comparison
stuff.
though, Jamie. It comes down to comparison. I want what that person's got. Which is why I want to
Yes,
be a celebrity. So I've got all this money. I go on a private jet. I was having this discussion with a client actually. He said, well, I like, I want to travel business class. And if I give up, will I be able to afford that? And I was just like, actually, when you have a simpler life, you don't need that. I'm really not bothered. And when you hear, I think who was it this week? Jeff Bezos or whatever spent 48, I think it was quoted as 48 million on a wedding. You think that is ridiculous. To me, it actually makes me feel quite sick when I hear that sort of thing. And I think, what a waste. You could do so much more and help so many other people, which is why Clive says if ever we won the lottery, we wouldn't really have much because I'd been busy helping everybody else.
well,
Uh,
that's
and
yes,
it's the comparison of, oh, I've got to have the nice nails, I've got to go and get my hair done, I've got to have the latest fashion. And when you see it still hasn't got through about fast fashion,
no,
etc., and what happens to it and where it goes, which is why when and weddings, that just got out of hand. I was really happy to see that your daughter had a what's now called as apparently is becoming a new trend, micro weddings.
brilliant.
And I
We
just think
absolutely loved
fantastic,
it. Absolutely.
fantastic.
You've just got the bare essentials, and actually, that's all you need. You don't need to show off to your friends. You don't need this or that
You
and
don't need to
that.
have everybody and his wife
No,
at your
and
wedding.
costing you, well, I'm going to go back a bit now. A friend, or somebody I used to work with years and years ago, he got married similar time to when we got married. So I'm going back 30 years. And they'd got themselves a little house somewhere that they were renting. And eventually he moved down south and followed his career with boats down there. But their honeymoon was 3 weeks in Africa, 1 week safari, a
Wow.
week here and a week there, and it was costing just. I think I think the where he said the wedding was cheaper than the honeymoon. It was all about the honeymoon. They want
Yeah.
this once in a lifetime thing. But I remember him saying 2 or 3 years later, when we're in conversation, well, I'm still paying for the honeymoon. I was like, what?
I know. I think this is where
It's
it's
just like,
bonkers.
it is. It,
That people spend this amount of money. I remember a lady at work, she was admin receptionist. She said, oh, our daughter's wedding's costing us a fortune. We said we'll try and help. And she said, she now wants all the bridesmaids to go and get their teeth whitened. What for? The photos. We're like, what? And I've got to get the nails done. All the nails have got to be done. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, you are kidding me. Whatever happened, a bit like you, whatever happened, and the same as we did, is you get married, you have the reception, and that's it. Now you get
yes,
married, you have a massive reception where everybody, stays and has a meal. And then from the reception, everybody then goes into an evening do
yeah,
for a big party. And I just think, what? I mean, we're going to a wedding. Actually, it's lovely. It's a second wedding, and both of them have lost their partners. One lost her husband to a brain tumor, and he lost his wife to breast cancer. And actually, that's what's in some ways kind of brought them together.
yeah,
But what they're doing is they're having a very, very small, for lots of reasons, as I said, very, very small wedding. So, most people, it's just really close family that are being invited to the ceremony. And then they're just going to have a nice lunch, and then everybody like us is joining in the evening and they're just having a party. So nothing fancy, it's a party. And I thought, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But micro weddings, why do people
yes.
spend thousands, put their parents in debt, put themselves in debt? I just think that's crazy. you know?
It's
And if people
it's
are
it,
upset, then they're not your right friends, are they? You know,
exactly,
if they don't get
exactly.
invited, then
I
tough,
mean,
basically.
I'm going to tell you our little wedding. Our little wedding was in my wife's local little church just up the road, not far away. Um, Horse and carriage from almost a mile away from my wife's house. There's somebody with horses and carriages that do all sorts of events and things. Had a word with them. I think their bill was like 80 quid. I think their bill was like £80 to pick Lynn up from the
Yeah,
home with her dad, go up to the church, which is a 5 minute walk, do the wedding. We did the wedding. We had photographs outside. In fact, that was the probably one of the dearest things.
it's a
650
photographer.
quid for the photographer. And it's still sort of similar money nowadays, really, 650,
Yeah,
800 quid for a
yeah.
photographer. So that was a lot of money in those days, 30 years ago. Then we jumped in the horse and carriage. We went about 3.5 miles to my local village hall, which is a beautiful timber framed old barn village hall. We had caterers in, which was, I think it was £19.30 a head or something. And we had 50, no, there was about 40 of us for the evening, for the afternoon meal, and about 70 or 80 for the evening party.
Yeah.
That was it. The DJ was a friend. All in all, I think ours came to under two and a half, £3,000.
We were similar, and Clive will
Yeah,
always joke. Clive will always joke when I tell the stories. Oh, here you go again. You know, we got married on the Saturday, very, very small wedding, and he, as I keep saying, he went on his honeymoon on the Sunday with the band to Denmark. He went touring Denmark for a week with the band, and I went back to work on the Monday. And when I went to work, people were like, "Didn't you get married at the weekend?" Yes. Aren't you on honeymoon? Well, Clive's on his, but I'm and even now, 40 years later, I'm going, I'm still waiting for my honeymoon, Jamie. But you know what?
oh,
It doesn't matter.
no,
You know, that's all we could afford. We were not going to put ourselves into any debt and be paying it off forever. That
yeah,
was it. So for
yeah,
us, less was more. We
yeah,
actually had a wonderful wedding. We could
yeah.
actually speak to people, which was great. So yeah, I think we need to do a bit more on less is more in life, don't you?
Yes,
Because we're coming,
yes.
believe it or not, we're coming towards the end of the half an hour. We're doing really well trying to keep to half an hour,
Oh,
Jamie.
well done. That's you and your hand signals. I've got to tell everybody, Jill is counting us down for 5 minutes, and I'll get this hand, and we're doing ever so well. No, that's great.
Well, it's going to be
Well,
that, but please, it's the victory sign, not the other way
it is.
around. I'll be very
Yeah.
careful. So,
No,
but I think it's an important topic because it's in everything in life, and we've just people have just
you,
gone,
you
well,
know
one way or the
something?
other now. We're definitely less.
Yes, I'm definitely less, and it's getting less as well. Just the last little second, then I'm going to tell you about a guy who used to come to my workshops. I haven't seen him for 2 or 3 years. He's a smashing guy. He might listen to this, he might not. He's this lovely guy. And what the really good thing about this guy, Gary, is he's the most genuine, generous person. He came to see me yesterday. We were going to have a coffee and a natter. And he came and he bought this, he got his bag with him. And he says, I bought you something. I said, what's that? And he said, you'll know what it is as soon as I get it out. So he started getting this. Anyhow, in this bag was a plane that is a very, very, quite a rare collectible plane. And he said, I've had it 5 years, mate. He said, I've not done anything with it. He said, you have it. You'll put it to good use. You'll, and I just thought, this is lovely. He's got rid of something. He's given it to somebody who knows will value it and do the
Yeah,
right thing with it. And he's one less
absolutely.
thing down.
Yes.
So yeah,
And I
it's,
think it is about passing it on. I mean, saying that we live in a large house, but we are slowly sorting stuff out.
you do. Yeah, we do, don't we?
Yeah, go. We don't need that. Get rid.
Yeah.
So anyway, maybe we
Right.
touch a little bit more on less is more. Time goes whizzing by when I chat to you, Jamie.
It's the
So
weather. It's the weather.
oh, we're back to the weather again. You enjoy the next couple of weeks
And
and
you,
hope
Jill.
all goes well. And thank you to usual. We really appreciate, I think the 15, 20 listeners that we have on a regular basis. Sometimes it goes a little bit higher, but we enjoy doing it anyway, Jamie. As I
Yeah.
say, it's nice to it gives us a good reason to catch up. So thank you for listening. If you know anybody else who might, I think we're now categorized as a friendship podcast. I got an email about your friendship podcast. So maybe I
Okay.
need to do a bit more work on promoting it, but it's fitting
Oh
it in with
yeah.
everything else. So
Hashtag friendship.
yes,
There you go.
hashtag friendship, if I can get my mouth around it.
I like
You
it.
have a good couple of weeks, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.